specials on that's still going to stay on while the strike's on. So people are doing as much as they can to, still get people into their business, but at the same time be compassionate and understanding and give them the best break that they can. But it definitely will have a toll on things eventually.
Now, earlier while I was standing here, a gentleman showed up and spoke to the members here about getting their strike pay paychecks, which would be paid out on Friday. That will be $350 a week, something that they'll have to learn how to get by on for the duration of this strike. Reporting live for Here and Now in Labrador City, I'm Jacob Barker.
Don't look down if you're afraid of heights. Just ahead, Zach Gowdy takes us to the top of Memorial's newest science building and shows us what goes into the multi-million-dollar construction project.
Conception Bay South has been shaken by some pretty serious crime in recent years, and today an announcement that there will soon be a heavier police presence in that town.
Yeah, Terry Roberts is following that story, and he joins us live now from CBS. So, Terry, tell us about this new home for police.
Well, Peter, the cops are coming. That's a phrase you might hear a little more often here in Conception Bay South. You see this building behind me, this green, empty building, the former town hall here, 106 Main Street in Conception Bay South? Well, the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary are about to put their crest on the front of that building.
For many in this room, it was news they had waited a long time to hear.
The RNC will soon open a new detachment here in Conception Bay South.
A permanent, full-time police presence in Newfoundland and Labrador's second largest municipality. Music to the ears of people like Conception Bay South MHA Barry Petton, who had been lobbying for a greater police presence.
One lady in particular mentioned to me, "I don't feel safe in my house anymore, Mr. Petton," and that became my rallying cry.
More than 26,000 residents and growing. 60-plus new businesses just last year. 500 kilometers of roadway, but the closest RNC detachment 26 kilometers away in Mount Pearl.
I would think that there's an under-reporting of crime sometimes when your detachments are too far away from your communities.
That will change in July when the RNC opens the doors on a new detachment.
I knew the residents were crying out for this for some time, and so to see that happen under my watch is very satisfying.
And it will come at a limited cost to the RNC. The town is offering this building rent-free.
But the building is there and we're not using it. It's idle, so why not? What better people to have in it than the RNC?
The Justice Minister said such a partnership made it possible.
We all obviously face fiscal challenges. This is something that, again, was able to be accomplished by working with the municipality here.
CBS is no longer that quiet bedroom community on the outskirts of St. John's. Serious crime has rocked this town in recent years, including the 2016 murder of Stephen Miller.
Even a break-in was a big deal, but now, of course, we have big crimes here, and obviously we want to stamp it out. People kept coming to me and telling me they didn't feel safe.
The people in this room hope an enhanced police presence will change that.
Now, as you can see, the town of Conception Bay South has already rolled out the welcome mat for the RNC. Now, Chief Joe Boland told us today that this will not be just a small office. There's going to be a new inspector appointed who will command this new detachment right here, along with the existing detachment in Mount Pearl. Now, there will also be, regular hours so people can go in here and report incidents, regular hours from Monday to Friday, and there'll be some specialized service. There'll be a canine unit, criminal investigations, traffic specialists, and even a telephone reporting center. So that's a long way from how things used to be here, where there was a two-person office here on Cherry Lane a number of years ago. Reporting live for Here and Now here in Conception Bay South, I'm Terry Roberts.
On Here Now, we've told you about the problems with Indigenous children in care, and tonight there's a big investigation underway into Inuit kids in care. The question, how to bring many of those kids back to their communities. The Child and Youth Advocate is going to travel to Inuit communities in Labrador and talk to parents about their experiences with the system. Jackie Lake Kavanaugh says the system is failing them and needs to do better. Many kids are taken out of Labrador and sent to foster families in Newfoundland. How to get them home is one of the issues her investigation will tackle. The Nunavut government asked for the solutions. Kavanaugh says the system needs to do a better job of keeping children connected to their culture.
Sometimes they're removed very small, and it doesn't take very long for a lot of that to be lost. So children, if they do go back to their families then or their communities, they're coming back without any of that cultural context about who they are and how their culture works for them.
Now, Nunatsiavut's Deputy Minister of Health and Social Development told me this afternoon she hopes the report finds way for Inuit to take over some areas of child protection. She says it's hard for a province-wide system to properly reflect Inuit culture.
Well, if you've been watching here now carefully, you might have noticed reporters in different clothing. Terry Robertson, CBS, windbreaker, no gloves. Jacob, Lab City, the full deal.
The full meal
Bit
deal.
of a mix. Kind of a messy bit on the Avalon today, but...
Yeah. But we definitely escaped the worst of the freezing rain here in the southeast. More of an event up towards the north coast and especially the Bayvert Peninsula and over towards the northern peninsula, where, have a look at this picture. I think this really sets the scene. This courtesy of Michael Durnford on the northern peninsula today, and you can see, a very, very icy scene there, and that's in Flowers Cove. That picture was taken. And have a look. We have freezing rain warnings in effect for the Bayvert Peninsula. That's it. All of the other warnings have been dropped. So this thing is winding down, but still the risk of some freezing rain continuing there over the next few hours, as we will see that most of the heavier precip work off to the north. Now, watch your timeline here through tonight. We've still got some periods of rain to shoot through across eastern and central parts of Newfoundland, some mixing with flurries in the west. And as we roll through into tomorrow morning, your commute not looking too bad across the island. Much quieter as that precip is lifted off to the north, but we will see some snow for the northern peninsula and across Labrador. And we'll talk more about your forecast in detail over the next couple of days in just a few minutes. Peter?
Heard repeatedly here today. We don't know. We're not exactly sure. We know they don't have the legal authority yet, the proper legislation.
It reminds you of was it reefer mania, reefer madness from back in the 40s.
Is this province ready for the legalization of pot? The opposition doesn't think so. Anthony puts questions to Paul Davis, as well as someone who's hoping to cash in on legal pot. That's coming up in 30 minutes on Here and Now.
The gas prices are going up tomorrow. That's the prediction from George Murphy with the Consumer Group for Fair Gas Prices. On the Northeast Avalon, gas currently sits at $1.34 per litre, but by Murphy's math, that should rise by 3 cents at midnight tonight. And if he's correct, that'll mean we will have the highest gas prices in Atlantic Canada by more than a dime a litre over Prince Edward Island. Murphy says diesel and home heating fuel will also be going up.
Many are mourning the death of Barbara Bush today, the wife of former U.S. President George Bush, including a friend from this province. Barbara Bush died last night at age 92, the second woman in U.S. history to have both a husband and a son elected president. Philanthropist Elaine Dobbin first met Barbara and George Bush about 20 years ago, after the former president came to the province for a fishing trip. Dobbin and her husband visited the Bushes' compound every September. She told CBC Radio that Barbara Bush was a very kind person, the kind of person you fell in love with immediately.
Sad to see such a wonderful, great, vivacious lady just go quickly. And the last time I saw her, she was on oxygen. She would not go out in public with oxygen. So it was, I knew then she was on a decline, but not for a second did I think she'd go before President Bush.
Two of this province's pricey new ferries are experiencing simultaneous engine problems. But the Legionnaire and the Veteran continue to serve their assigned routes. An engine has been removed from the Legionnaire for repairs, and technicians have decided to shut down an engine on the Veteran after it began to malfunction. Each vessel has 3 engines that can operate, but the vessels rather can operate normally with just 2.
Well, the St. John's Edge lost for the first time in the playoffs last night in London, Ontario. But it was a hard-fought game. It took double overtime before the Lightning could pull out the win, 140 to 133. Game 2 in the Central Division Finals goes tomorrow night. Then the best-of-7 series returns to St. John's on Saturday.
The New England Patriots might be one of the biggest sports teams in the world, but the NFL club still went out of its way recently to acknowledge the death of a fan from Clarenville. Victoria Best was a music instructor, a volunteer, and a mental health advocate who took her own life last December. She was also a devout fan of the New England Patriots. An RCMP officer, Brian Vaughn, learned of this, and so he reached out to the NFL team to try to get them to acknowledge her death. The Patriots responded, sending a condolence letter to Beth's family. The RCMP officer who arranged this says the small gesture means a lot to the family.
Next on Here and Now, if you're afraid of heights, then close your eyes, because we're going up on the high steel at Memorial University's biggest construction project. What does it take to do this job?
I have no fear up there, you know what I mean? Just don't think about falling.
Nerves of Steel. Next on Here and Now.
Welcome back. Tonight, we're going to take you high above the streets of St. John's and look through the eyes of an ironworker. Memorial University's new core sciences facility has been taking shape one steel beam at a time. Well, now all the work is complete, and Zach Gowdy wanted to see how it was done. But it's too dangerous even for a keener like Zach to go up there. So two fearless workers wore cameras on their helmets during their final shifts. We're calling this story Nerves of Steel. But first, a warning. If you're afraid of heights, you better hang on to something. All right, up we go.
Usually, there's only one way to get this view of St. John's, a way that most of us would never dare. For iron worker Gene Lewis, this is just another day at the office. The only difference is the camera on his helmet. For months, Lewis has worked on Memorial University's massive new core sciences facility. Every day, the building gets a little bigger and Lewis's office gets a little higher off the ground. Now the job is nearly done and Lewis is working at the very top, a dizzying 40 meters above the street. What does it take to stand in these boots?
Have no fear up there, you know what I mean? Just don't think about falling.
Or how about climbing hand over hand up a 50-meter ladder, then taking control of a gigantic machine?
When somebody finds out that you're a tower crane operator, what's the usual reaction?
I wouldn't do that. Right?
Or how about taking control of the biggest construction project in the history of Memorial University?
I come in early every morning and I drive by the site, and every night I drive by the site on the way home, and sometimes I just stop and look, and when you've had a hard day, this makes it all worthwhile.
To do these things takes skill. It takes preparation, experience, and guts. But most of all, it takes nerves of steel. In summer 2017, Memorial University began transforming a parking lot into a state-of-the-art education and research facility. With dozens of workers and 2 massive tower cranes, the structural steel was installed piece by piece. Now, less than a year later, the building's skeleton looms over the campus. 6 a.m. Tower crane operator Gary Lewis is one of the first workers on site. The steel crew can't do much until he's in his place. But there's only one way to get there. A ladder, 50 meters tall.
I was actually nervous of heights when I first started tower cranes. The first tower crane went up, I went right to the highest part of it and jumped all around it and didn't move, went out, flipped, jumped. Okay, this is good. Not jumped off, but jumped on it, you know. Bounced it around, right? Said, okay, it's all good. I can do this.
Lewis climbs in the frigid morning air. He inspects the crane as he goes, stopping here and there to break away buildups of ice. He can already look down at the roof of the Health Science Center, but he's not at the top yet. When Lewis scales the final rungs, he's out of breath, but his reward is the best view in the city. He can see over the construction site, over the entire MUN campus, and the whole Central Valley of St. John's, all the way to the Narrows. He doesn't savor it for long. There's work to do. Once Lewis is inside the operator's cab, he won't come down for the next 12 hours. Soon after, the rest of the construction crew arrives on site, including iron workers Ed Roach and Gene Lewis. He's the one wearing the camera. Roach and Lewis are heading up on the high steel, but they don't have to climb the ladder. Instead, Gary in the tower crane gives them a lift. It's not your average commute, and again, the view is incredible. But once they step out of the man basket, there's no more railing to hold on to.
You are strapped in, I assume.
Yeah, I'm in a harness, and so if I fall, I'm going to just bring up the harness, which wouldn't be cool either, so I don't want to do that. So.
His harness is tethered to 2 safety lines, but connecting those is up to him. Watch that first step. To move from one beam to another, Lewis has to disconnect one of the safety lines. Then he reconnects the free line to the other side of the crossbeam. One line at a time, Lewis and Roach make their way to an unfinished section of the roof.
What's a typical day at the office like for a high steel worker?
We're pretty much hanging out up at the top and putting in steel. Crane will bring it up to us and we connect it, few bolts, safe it out, go for another piece.
One at a time, they go up to the boys that connect in place, and eventually, poof, voila, we got the end product, right?
At ground level, the riggers ready a piece of steel, then Gary Lewis starts hoisting it up. It's a tricky lift. First, he has to keep the load inside the construction zone, never out over the road.
Gonna come in on your east side there, Jed.
He has to coordinate his moves with the site's other tower crane. And hardest of all, he has to deliver the swaying steel into the connector's waiting hands. The job is called connectors because that's what they do, connect the steel beams to the structure. Another crew will come behind to secure the beams. Lewis and Roach just have to get them attached.
There, hold it.
Okay, hold on.
Hold the touch.
I'm touch up there, Gary, honey.
All right.
When the position is just right, Lewis jabs a special wrench through the aligned holes, skewering both beams. Then he fastens them with a few nuts and bolts. He does all this while balancing on the narrow steel, but he can't get distracted or nervous. He has to be certain he's done the job right.
Good.
Because the last step is for Lewis to walk out onto the beam he just connected and detach it from the crane hook. How do you keep from falling up?
I guess, I don't know, just hold on really tight. Know your footing, like know your surroundings. You got to be on your toes up there. Like you really got to be on your game.
It's a very, very complicated thing, but it's a lot of fun. It's my third large project of this size, and it's exciting. You know, you take a piece of ground, and all of a sudden, something like this comes out.
Leading the project from the ground is Ann Brown, Memorial's Associate Vice President of Facilities. Brown has spent decades in construction management. She built a skyscraper in New York and was lured here from Queen's University for the chance to work on this building.
It's a very complex building. As soon as you start getting into laboratories, you're not building offices, you're not just building regular classrooms, you're building labs, you're building fume hoods, you're putting in mechanical systems that have never been used in this province before.
When it's finished, the core science facility will be Memorial's new crown jewel. 500,000 square feet in size, housing nearly all of MUN's scientific research. The ultra-modern design still has some distinctly Newfoundland touches, exterior walls that echo the shapes of icebergs, and the 25-meter skeleton of a blue whale that washed ashore in Rocky Harbor, hanging from the ceiling. In this province, there's a long history with high steel. In New York, it was once said that Newfoundlanders, their sons and grandsons, made up a quarter of all the iron workers in the city. They were considered some of the best in the world.
We got some of the best operators around. I mean, everyone, best iron workers, everyone chips in at the end of the day.
Superintendent Jeff Whalen says they're still the best, but this project has helped keep more iron workers at home.
It came at a good time because all the big boom is over now here in Newfoundland. So this job really helped out a lot of people, and not just iron workers wise, but all trades, because like there's no more Long Harbour or Hebron or none of that, so it came at the right time to help a lot of people.
Now, with the steel complete, the scale of what's already been accomplished is clear from kilometers away.
You don't see jobs like in Newfoundland like this very often, like, you know what I mean? It's going to be pretty cool to tell my kids about, and like something cool to be a part of.
But as cool as this is, the story of this building is just beginning.
With a science building, the exciting part about it is you never know what's going to happen here. You could find a cure for cancer, you could discover different things. It's just one of those exciting things, and when we build these, we build for the future.
Zach Gowdy, CBC News, St. John's.
Pretty spectacular view up there
Yeah.
from the top.
Yeah.
Would you climb up there for that view?
I'd go in a helicopter maybe. No, it's incredible because the building's very close to CBC, and I remember when they started it, it seems to have gone up so fast, but I was sort of captured by the Windex bottle on the inside of the crane so you can keep the glass clean. It's amazing.
Well, you want to know, is that just a smudge or is that someone down there? You know, there's a big difference.
It's quite something. Great piece.
Pope knows that this has to do with the expression of sorrow and regret to Indigenous people.
After hearing what they said today, I'm disgusted.
Canada's Catholic bishops are pushing back against demands that the Pope apologize for the residential school system.
Julie Van Duzen on the latest in the ongoing controversy.
Ryan, you're not a really popular guy these days with the forecasts you've been delivering. And got to say, though, the good news is most of us were not in Labrador City to deal with all of that snow today.
Yeah, that's right. First of all, it's not a popularity contest until July, right? There's just no chance until summer arrives in July. But yeah, this is, they're particularly upset, I think, even you folks in Lab West that love the snow. I think it's getting a little much with 35 centimeters since yesterday, thanks to Jackie, who forwarded this one on and digging out once again. Now, I did want to show this picture once again. Icy spring day. I did say that this was Flowers Cove. That was my mistake. This is actually taken in Hamden, and a great shot there from Michael Durnford. And of course, the other big story has been the freezing rain, which is just now lingering along that north coast of Newfoundland from the Bay of Exploits across to Green Bay, White Bay. That's where we have those warnings still in effect. Otherwise, it's been the warm-up. 8 degrees in St. John's right now. Again, in the cool air is where we are seeing some stronger winds as well, with a little bit of blowing snow. Gusts up towards 60 kilometers per hour right now in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and that is the snow that's been rolling in for you folks. On the island, anything in green here is a change over to rain. You can see those pinks, that mixing, now working off to the north as that warmer air creeps in. As this low wraps around in a counterclockwise motion, we do get into that southerly flow. Now, that low will continue to track to the north tonight, and we're going to be seeing that snow continue for you folks in Labrador, though albeit becoming lighter and lighter over the next 24 hours. For Newfoundland, we're going to be seeing some onshore flurries developing once again for the west coast. Temperatures are going to be near the freezing mark across the board, mainly cloudy skies for central and east with winds in from the southwest. And again, looking at those flurries for Happy Valley Goose Bay back towards Labrador City. Steadier snows even through tomorrow for places like Cartwright, where we could see an additional 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. Some light accumulation possible even towards St. Anthony. Really, the name of the game tomorrow is the lingering flurries along the west coast. A chance of a shower or flurry in central, but I think we'll see some sunny breaks. In fact, a pretty good chance of seeing some sunny breaks for the southeast half of the island. Now, I think the clouds will dominate, but the sun at least should break through from time to time, as winds will be in from the southwest, some gusts 60 to 70, so a little on the breezy side, but that will help to bring in those warmer temps. Onshore flurries developing for the west coast with temperatures near 3 degrees, and again 5 or 6 for central, with a shower possibly mixed with a flurry into the afternoon as those temperatures drop. Winds in from the north through Labrador, and again it's dominant clouds with a good chance of those flurries lingering that snow along the coast. And then our next system arrives. By the time we get to Friday morning, it's going to be a bit of a messy mix on the Avalon, but a pretty quick changeover to rain for the Avalon, the Burin, up through Clarenville, Bonavista, messy mix here through the day into central parts of Newfoundland as well. Snow developing along the west coast of Newfoundland, just some flurries in Labrador, but this will be a story that continues into Friday night and then into Saturday as well. And we'll talk about that with your weekend forecast, and yeah, more of those high single, even some double digits in the long range. Those details are still to come, Anthony.
Thanks, Ryan. Catholic bishops are standing by a decision from Pope Francis that he cannot personally respond to an appeal for an apology to residential school survivors. But the bishops say that doesn't mean that he's refusing the appeal from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that came out 3 years ago. Today, the bishops said they wanted to make it clear the Pope is just waiting for the right time. But MPs are not giving up their pressure campaign. Julie Van Dusen is following this push from Parliament Hill. So, Julie, how are the bishops explaining this papal failure to apologize?
Well, they're explaining it very badly. It was a very confusing news conference, Anthony. They called it to clear up the confusion about the Pope's position on an apology, and they made it worse. They wouldn't answer basic questions in a clear way. Is he coming to Canada? Does he want to apologize? What's his position on this? At some point, they mentioned the Truth and Reconciliation Recommendation number 58, and they seem to have some concerns about that it calls for a timeline of apology within a year, but then they kind of backed away from that. And then they said the Catholic Church as a whole is decentralized and that each diocese and religious order are responsible for their own actions. They were quite indignant about continued questions about the Pope's position. Take a listen.
We have invited him to come to Canada, and the Pope knows that this has to do with the expression of sorrow and regret to Indigenous people who have suffered. You don't have to tell the Pope you must apologize. He knows that.
So, Julie, how did that kind of statement go over with New Democrats and the others who were gathered to hear this announcement?
Well, I spoke to your MP from Labrador, for example, Yvonne Jones, who said he must apologize. It's a question of accountability. At the news conference itself, there were some victims of abuse, including Romeo Saganash. Of course, they pointed out the Pope has apologized to other victims of abuse in other countries, including Ireland. So they weren't happy. Take a listen.
After hearing what they said today, I'm disgusted. You probably noticed that I walked out because I wanted to go throw up.
I would accept an apology today, tomorrow, next year, 2 years from now. An apology to me is acknowledgement of the abuse. That's all we're asking for. So
the Liberals and the NDP will continue their pressure, Anthony, but it is not obvious, it's not clear if this pressure is going to work on Pope Francis.
All right, that's Julie Van Dusen, our senior reporter in the Parliamentary Bureau in Ottawa.
Madness from back in the 40s. We are going to be ready.
But there's so many other aspects of the legalization of marijuana that they haven't done. There's so many unanswered questions.
I think we're ready. I know I'm ready.
Pot legalization is expected before September. Is this province ready? We'll dive into that dubious debate after the break.
The province's opposition leader wants the brakes put on marijuana legalization, arguing that the province just isn't ready. The feds are committed to legalizing pot this year. The latest timeline is sometime before September. Paul Davis is asking the provincial government to pressure the Trudeau Liberals to delay that until Newfoundland and Labrador is ready.
I don't know how much funding they're going to receive, but the minister is sure we're going to be ready. Well, don't tell me, Minister. Tell the people of the province. How can you ensure that schoolyards are going to be protected? How are you going to ensure that workplaces will be protected? How are you going to ensure that there's a good way to make sure that people are safe on the highways? How are you going to make sure that our province doesn't change? Because once it's out of the box, Minister, you'll never be able to pull it back.
The member opposite is trying to create a panic and a fear. It reminds you of it was a reefer mania, reefer madness from back in the 40s. The fact is, this is going to affect every province in this country. We are going to be ready, and it's not going to be the fear and craze that he's putting out there. We're going to be ready here in this province. I can guarantee him that, and that I am sure of. Thank you.
Well, that was the exchange at the House of Assembly this afternoon. So, are we ready? And what could be the holdup? I put those questions to Paul Davis, as well as to a marijuana entrepreneur who plans to cash in once pot is finally legal. So, Mr. Davis, weed was supposed to be legalized in about 70 days. It doesn't look as though it will be. Whenever it's legalized, are we ready?
Absolutely not. The only thing we're ready for is a supply, and I've heard Christopher Mitchell-Moore say several times, we had to be ready, we had to have a supply. But there's so many other aspects of the legalization of marijuana that they haven't done. There's so many unanswered questions. They don't even know what the cost is going to be. Even in their own budget documents, they're making guesses at what they're thinking they're going to receive from the federal government for funding to support the additional costs. And the costs lay out additional fines, administration, prosecution charges, court operation charges are all going to go up as a result of the legalization of marijuana. So that's right from their own budget documents, but they're guessing at what those numbers are.
I think we're ready. I know I'm ready. I find out in the next 10 days if I get my retail cannabis license from the NLC. At that time, it'll take me about 60 days to have my shop up and running, and I'll be ready to go to serve the public, that's for sure.
Your past career gives you some insight into police. What do the police need to know about pot that they don't know already?
Well, there's so much evolving. Even the drug recognition expert process for stopping vehicles and trying to do an evaluation if the person is impaired by a drug has been running into more and more challenges in court, and successful challenges in court. I think I saw a story on CBC which they talked about the 40% range of successfully contesting those. So government needs to know, and people need to understand what the rules are.
What do the police need to know about weed that they don't know already?
They need to know that the THC levels in your bloodstream dissipate within a half hour of smoking it. So when it comes to people who are smoking and driving, if you're caught red-handed, then you're caught red-handed. If you're not caught red-handed and it takes more than 20 minutes to do that swab test, anyone will be able to get it thrown out of court because you know, there's no definitive evidence on how long ago you smoked.
Any unknown health risks that we need to learn more about?
Well, I think there is. I have a colleague in Nova Scotia who himself experienced, his son had psychosis, his son lost his life, and it's been a devastating and terrible event for him himself, and he ties it back directly to marijuana. He spoke publicly in Nova Scotia about it many times. So I think there's health risks.
There's a lot of new types of derivatives of cannabis where the THC levels are really high. So let's say your cannabis you smoke on a regular basis would be 20% THC. All of a sudden now you can get THC powder that's 95% pure. So the effects on long-term use of that substance, or you know, how much you take of it, really isn't known yet.
You seem to favor a delay. Given our financial situation, can we really afford to delay this?
Well, it depends what the costs are, and we really don't know what the cost. I've asked today, and in this private members resolution that we brought to the House today, what about the medical cost or the medical impacts? I looked at a story out of Colorado, who's 5 years now since they've been legalized. Their communities are changed.
Can we afford to delay this?
No, we can't. You know, as soon as the federal government gives us the okay, I feel like the province should be able to start that whatever date that says.
On the tax revenue side, what potential do you see for the government to make money off marijuana?
Well, it's a really good question. Nova Scotia has laid down a $20 million range, and here the minister's numbers are all over the place.
My estimates would say that the government should make between $25 and $40 million in tax revenue alone, and that's just based on the dollar tax and the 15% HST. You know, as a shop owner, I'm going to be making an 8% commission from the NLC, so I'd like to see the revenue the NLC is going to make as well, which is a crown corporation, and would go back to the province. So, you know, yeah, $50 million a year into the tax stream from cannabis alone is not a ludicrous figure.
Wow, interesting. There are a lot of people who seem to be betting their hopes that they'll be able to sell. Do we have any sense yet from NLC when they'll notify the lucky winners of people who get licenses?
Well, Thomas is definitely one of those guys who's got his joints or fingers crossed, however you want to see it. Yes, we found out from the NLC today that they're going to announce, I guess it's almost like the lucky winners or the recipients of licenses. They're going to make an announcement on May 7th, so no doubt there's going to be some very happy people and some very disappointed people as well.
NHL is for the Broncos.
Well, keep an eye out for this if you're driving in the city of St. John's, a makeshift memorial to honor the victims of the Humboldt tragedy. We'll talk to the man behind it coming up next.
Well, it's time to recognize our young athlete of the day. We're going to give a shout out to a local hockey player from the St. John's area. Looks like he's made a bit of hockey news as well.
This is 7-year-old Noah Abbott, who plays forward with the St. John's Caps hockey team. In May, Noah is traveling to Tampa, Florida with the Blizzard Dogs to play in the Extra Ice Memorial Day Challenge.
He also enjoys playing basketball and soccer. Way to go, Noah. You're today's young athlete of the day.
Blizzards and Ice Dogs heading down to Tampa. Just sort of seems like something not quite right, Noah, but congratulations.
That's right.
Well, Ryan, we were teasing you in the last weather hit, and even though you may not be winning the prize, you're at least Mr. Congeniality about it all, so we appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Florida, and you did talk about the snow, and fitting that I have this map ready to go, 28 the high in Miami today, 29 in Myrtle Beach. Let's
all go.
The southeast, it's almost the heat's being bottled there, and you can see with places like Des Moines and Toronto in the low single digits. That warm air is really just bottled up there. Now we will see that system that's brewing where those temperatures are contrasting. That's going to be our Friday system, Friday into Friday night, even lingering into Saturday for places like Labrador. And then we are looking at a pretty nice stretch, as I mentioned last night, a stretch of spring that actually looks like spring, like true spring. And so let's break it all down for you. We have some snow that will continue, of course, in Labrador tonight. On the island, things really quiet down, although onshore flurries will continue right through Thursday along the west coast. Slight chance of a shower or flurry in central. Best chance of sunny breaks tomorrow anywhere in the province will be for the Burin and the Avalon up towards Clarenville and Bonavista. Now, timeline-wise, it's Thursday evening into the overnight that our next system will start to approach. I think we may see a little bit of mixing with some snow and ice pellets, possibly a little bit of freezing rain for the Avalon, the Burin Peninsula, but more so for Clarenville, Bonavista, and up into Terra Nova, and then eventually central parts of Newfoundland for Friday morning into the afternoon, and then a change over to rain, and this system will slowly truck northward. This is your long-range outlook, and there's Friday overnight and into Saturday, and it's still just moving to the north of Newfoundland now, where we have the snow developing once again for Happy Valley Goose Bay and the southeast, and won't really get into the Labrador Sea until Sunday. That's when we'll start to see that clear out. Area of high pressure diving in for Monday into Tuesday, maybe even into Wednesday of next week, although I think the clouds will thicken up a little bit. That southerly flow looks pretty good right now, and wouldn't that be nice if things play out the way that they are expected to play out as of now? We're talking about high single, even some double-digit temperatures for next week with sunshine. So let's keep our fingers crossed that that setup holds right now. The weekend not looking too bad either, with low to mid single-digit temperatures across the island. Labrador, it's going to take a little bit longer to clear out, as I said, with that system really stalling, but even a little taste of spring expected for you folks next week as well. That's your forecast to now.
Each other for the Broncos. God is with the Broncos. Kisses and hugs till we all meet again. Blow your horn to support the Broncos. R.I.P.
Well, Hubert Noftel put 16 hockey sticks on his front lawn on Newtown Road in St. John's to honor the Humboldt Broncos. The hockey players, coach and trainer died when their bus collided with a transport truck 2 weeks ago in Saskatchewan. There's a stick for each person who died and a mascot. He put up this display so people passing by would think of the families. Noftel has played hockey throughout his life and traveled by bus, so this tragedy struck close to home.
It means a lot to me to do this because right now I played hockey all my life and I've traveled all over Canada, played the Nationals, and I just thought it'd be a good gesture for everybody to see this. My hearts go out to you all. I really feel sad for this tragedy, and I hope you all get through it. God be with you.
Meanwhile, today, hundreds of people attended 2 memorials for victims of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash. People packed into the Humboldt Arena to remember the team therapist. 24-year-old Dana Bronze was the only woman on the bus when it crashed. In Alberta, crowds filled a local hall in Slave Lake, 200 kilometers north of Edmonton. They were there to celebrate the life and talent of a 21-year-old left winger on the team. That was Connor Lucan. And across the West, many are working on ways to support the team. Today in Saskatoon, there was an announcement of a benefit concert to be held in a few weeks. 6 prominent country artists have already signed on to play in that concert, and all the money raised will go to the Broncos.
All right, our weather picture of the day. This one taken this morning in eastern parts, I believe yesterday morning, in eastern parts of Newfoundland.
I think that might have been near a news conference where there's going to be a new police station.
Ding, 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 ding. All right, if you're watching the newscast, Anthony's clue should have given it away, but in case not, we'll zoom in here to, yes, Conception Bay. And this was, of course, yesterday morning, and a beautiful rainbow there with Bell Island off in the distance on the right-hand side, I believe. Jeff Parsons' beautiful shot there over Conception Bay.
I wonder if anyone got the gold at the end of that rainbow.
They probably would have heard about it.
Get the kayak. Yeah, it was the rocks and the beach kind of assisted in the guess. That's good because you've been tough all week and all month. The last 2 months you've been really tough, so it was good to give us a gimme.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I'll work on a few more gimmies for you. Get your confidence up a little bit.
Whenever Debbie's away, he makes it much easier on the rest of us because we're not as intelligent. Thank you.
I got no comment on that.
See you tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.